sadly, we have chosen because of, us all being parents, we are going to be taking the month of December off of recording to prep for what we're going to call Season 2, relaunch in January. So hopefully everybody's going to have a nice holiday this year. We know how busy it is for everybody. So this is Steve. We have Sid.
Hello.
There somewhere. Yeah, there she is. And then Errane.
Nanu.
Who is officially old now. Really, it's just, you're older. It's your birthday. So happy birthday, sir.
I missed last year because last year was awesome. So last year I turned 33. So every time somebody asked me how old I was or what, I was like, well, I went biblical this year, and it felt good to say. 34 is such a boring number, and it's just closer to 40 in sadness. So, yay, 34. At least I'm not 40, though.
Jerk.
Oh. I mean, I can still say I'm not 30 yet, so.
Sid.
Oh, be quiet over there, young.
Wait, we're all at different decades? Jesus. That is...
Not for long. I'll be joining you this summer.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Dirty 30.
This is such a good season finale we're doing here. If I was to rate it so far, I'd probably rip it apart right now and judge it harshly.
I probably would too. Our energy levels are amazing.
Well, Aaron's not feeling so hot, so.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're old.
It's my stomach's betrayed me. It's a vicious cycle. Food is bad for you, okay?
Whatever food you ate is bad for you.
Fajitas
I made myself for dinner were good.
It might have been the leftover Chinese food, or it was the pizza, or it was the mix, the trail mix that I don't know when I bought it. I don't know when, but it was in the pantry.
Trail mix never goes bad, so it's not bad.
At least we can rule that out. That's good.
It was probably the Chinese food.
I was going to say, you probably left it on the counter.
No, it's been in the fridge since the day. No, I ate it 2 days ago. Thank you. And I had it in the fridge the whole time and ate it last night. So it was only a day old. And it didn't get me sick the first time I ate it.
So what was the pizza?
That was fresh.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, it could very well be what got me sick, too. So have you guys been up to anything? I mean, this is our last episode for this season.
I know.
Then we take the December break. So last episode for the season. You guys do anything special over the last little bit?
I am going to be hosting a Thanksgiving dinner at my house this week. All of my friends that are still out here are going to come over. They're few and far between nowadays, but we got a good chunk of people still coming. And then, so I've just been getting the house ready for that. Like the last 2 days I spent James's entire nap time out in the flower beds, digging everything up, raking all the leaves, knocking off all the dead, rotten figs from the fig tree that doesn't ripen until it's cold, and then they're all bad. And then just cleaning the house.
I just heard you say a whole bunch of things that Rob could have helped with.
Rob was actually helping our friends Chris and Taylor get their house emptied out and into a U-Haul and moved down to Portland. So he actually was doing something very productive. And he's probably more sore than I am, to be honest.
Why are you so mean, Steven? God,
he's got a point.
So rude. Just so mean.
It's the joys of this time of year. I get vicious. And
it's the time for giving attitude.
It's the time that me as a Canadian, I go the complete opposite. The rest of the year, I'm giving and nice. This time, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
But no, for us, just I had 2 hospital visits this week. None of them for me, both for my wife. She decided to randomly get an infection,
How
which just
dare
happened.
her.
I know. So I left work. I got to leave work early twice, which was nice, but then spend hours in the hospital because emergency rooms are so fast.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful.
Yeah, but a week of antibiotics, and then 2 days later, she's going to get in the car, and she stepped on a water bottle that had rolled in front of the door at some point, and so she completely rolled her ankle. She thought she broke it, so again, another trip, off we went. So that's been my week, is just she rests while I'm taking care of everything, and then yeah, for holidays, nothing big, but I mean, we'll have dinner with her family, dinner with my family, dinner with just us and the kids.
It's a lot of dinner.
Yeah, our elves
That's
haven't
a lot of
arrived yet. It's way too much food. Way too much food.
Your elves?
Yes. So unlike everybody else's elf on the shelves, when ours arrive, they bring our Christmas tree, and they are good elves that just report back to Santa on whether our children are good or not. They do not trash our house like most other elves on the shelves do.
What is happening? What are you saying right now? Why are you the way you are?
Learn.
No, I don't have to do any of that. I know what elf on the shelf is, but what are you trying to tell me that you said elves? So what, does each kid get one? Oh my God. You're awful.
One boy elf and two girl elves.
You're not a good person. You should be ashamed of yourself about the elf on the shelf.
What is wrong with having multiple elves?
Oh, I'm just going to tell my kid that Santa doesn't exist. That way we can fix that. And then what's going to be great about that is that he gets to tell everyone in class, and then I get to deal with the angry parents, and that will be my favorite part of Christmas.
You know what you could actually do? You could say it's Baby Yoda. That comes every year.
No, that's silly. No. Let me just make myself clear yet again. I intend to anger other parents, have them yell at me about my child spreading all truths while they lie to their children, and then enjoy them getting mad at me about it and knowing that my child knows the truth and their children are all following a fallacy of Santa Claus.
So
either that,
don't visit Errane during the holidays until James doesn't believe in Santa anymore.
That makes sense.
Correct.
Yeah, steer clear. Hey, little boy, do you like Santa Claus? Yeah, he's a lie. Have a holly jolly Christmas.
We know not who to not invite ever for the holiday season.
Smart.
Right?
That's a good idea. Then I don't have to travel. You guys are nice. Look at you go.
No, you'll still have to travel.
Visit you, but
I had I've got plans to go. My wife has been gone with little Leo, and I've missed them both, and get to see them soon. And we do Thanksgiving at her parents' house. That'll be fun. Where I'll tell all the kids how Thanksgiving really went down and spread some more joy. And then
you're gonna tell them all about the food poisoning they got?
No, I'll just tell them about the murders and stuff that happened to take advantage of an entire culture, for the gains of.
I like it.
Yeah, it's smart. It's good. Anyway, outside of that, yesterday and the day before, no, yesterday, finally got the pole barn all cleaned out and had about 12 different people over. When we played Magic, from about 3 until late, and it was awesome. A lot of fun, a lot of games of Magic. It was kind of a test, right? Because I really can't go to LGS's. Yeah, like a soft opening. That's exactly right. Had order pizza for people and stocked a little mini fridge and got the bathroom working. I fixed the toilet. Haven't fixed the sink. Turns out that's where the burst pipe is. So, but at least got the toilet going. It was cold and rainy, but got the little wood pellet stove running, and that was sweet. And got it nice and toasty and got some sweet games in. I think I only won one game, but I had a lot of fun. So it was really cool to see everybody and play with all those different people. It went really, really well. And probably won't be doing it again until after the holidays are all done, for obvious reasons. But yeah, just super excited for a little bit of a break, and excited for us to get back in January and coming back with our next season. It's gonna be fun, but I'm excited.
Yes. It is going to be a fun time. All right, so it's straight to our one topic of the day. In a recent interview, the one topic and then one official segment, and then who knows where it goes because we never really stay on topic ever.
What? Yes, we do. Did you hear that they are apparently, for Disney Plus, they did a bunch of changes? Did you see them, Sid, in Star Wars?
No.
What do you mean?
Apparently they made a bunch of changes to the episodes to like more fluid, provide a more fluid continuity with like characters and stuff, like Yoda. They like took away like the puppeting Yoda in episode 1 and like changed it up for like a more appropriate CGI version and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch.
Now I'm gonna have to go watch them all.
God damn
I
you!
thought you just watched them all.
I did. I own them.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't watch them on Disney Plus.
No, I own them. I will watch them on my DVDs before I watch them on the streaming service, because who knows what they're going to do to it.
Well, that's the thing. This is apparently something they did. Apparently another thing they did was like mess with Vader's face to make it look more like an aged Hayden Christensen.
That's a dick move.
In Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to watch them all.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, man, now I have to check this out. So, yeah.
I did not see that.
I know they changed the Han and Guido scene.
Yep. So, and then he says something strange, I guess, before he shoots or whatever. So.
Why do they keep changing them?
I don't know.
Is it to make it more like age appropriate, I guess?
No, it's supposed to make it more fluid between the 6 movies. So that way it's all like working better for telling the same story, I guess, because of the age difference of the original trilogy in episodes 1, 2, and 3. It's like they don't have to worry about so much of that in 7 and 8, right? Because everybody's older. But like the difference between 1, 2, and 3 being in the past, even more so. You know what I mean? Like the weirdness of that. The chronological order vice the release order physically in our time. So it has something to do with that. I guess a friend of mine was watching some stuff on it and said some of the changes were pretty cool and some of them were really unnecessary. So,
well, I will have to watch, and we
same
can probably
here.
discuss in the future.
I said my opinion was it would be way better if instead of changing the actor's face to look more like Hayden Christensen aged on Darth Vader, go back and change all of Hayden Christensen to morph his face to look like more of the original actor's face for the one scene. Because, that's not a lot more expensive.
Scene with him in it?
Just know, if you're going to reshoot, I totally am down for reshooting it without Hayden Christensen at all and just replacing him. That would be great.
Oh,
man.
So mean.
Be okay with it. Yeah, I can't help it.
I kind of wish they would have just kept it like the old school ones too, where they were just so bad props.
Yeah, it was fun. It's part of the love of it.
Here's what I think Disney Plus should do. I think that because now they have every version available, they digitize every version of Star Wars, and you can watch
whichever
version
one
of
you
each
want.
of the movies. Yeah, like you can see release version of the original trilogy, then you can see the bad CGI additions that were made for the original trilogy, and then all that other, like you can go through the ages of changes and kind of see the history of it, all on Disney Plus for your own viewing pleasure,
Do
and
the
then
Lucas
judge for
cut.
yourself. Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, it would be great. I think they should make that an option. That should be a feature.
That
I
actually
still
would
need
why
to
not?
find the original. I still need to find the original trilogy that my mom had on tape, because then
Yeah.
I can prove that scene with Han and Jabba outside the Falcon actually happened.
Yeah, because
Wait.
for some reason I don't remember it being in the original. But
What?
I gotta find it to prove it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was in the original. Actually,
it was.
it's funny.
I just don't remember it. But
Jabba
'Cause Jabba
originally
looked
wasn't going to
awful.
be. Jabba originally wasn't even a big creature. It was a man.
Mm-hmm.
It was originally a man in a like not. I don't. He wasn't the giant slug. He was actually like a man, like a person.
that I don't remember. That is interesting.
But
So
I don't know if
speaking
that
of
ever went.
cuts-
I don't know if that ever went to screen though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jabba's always been like this big gross thing, as far as I can remember. And I used to watch
Right.
the original trilogy all the time
Here
as
we
a
go.
kid.
I can show you now. Jabba the Hutt was played by Declan Mulholland in scenes cut from the 1977 release of Star Wars. In Mulholland's scenes as Jabba, Jabba is represented as a rotund human dressed in a shaggy fur coat.
Oh, I see it now.
Yep. Boom. I got you.
You do. So speaking of
Oh, and by the way,
like
that original scene is Han Solo talking to Jabba.
Yeah, Jabba. So it's there. I just
to show you that Sid is very right. I decided to just prove both of those things in one. Digital high five, Sid. Ship out.
Woohoo!
That was my digital. We had very different digital high five sounds, but I appreciated them both.
That's all good.
And neither of them sound like anything like a normal high five, so it's all good. Either way, the important thing is that Steve is wrong. That's all that matters. Yep. As long as Steven's wrong on everything, that's really all that matters.
I don't think I'll be wrong on everything, but maybe semi-often. How's that?
I mean, as long as you're wrong, or you think that you're wrong, and then later it turns out you're right, but you'll still apologize to me, and anyway, it's gonna be worth it. So
I'm Canadian, so apologizing's in the blood. So, you know.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the topic, actually,
your military's a joke.
Just because I'm going to ignore and move on.
Sorry. Sorry, eh? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we thought we could have a confrontation. We'll just go back to our house. Sorry. Here's some cookies. Oh.
You're such an ass. Do you think DC is ever going to release the Snyder Cut? There have been multiple actors now asking for it and releasing images from the set of them in character that didn't make the Justice League movie.
The what cut?
So Justice League started off with Zack Snyder as the director.
And then his son or daughter killed themselves or died or murdered. Something
I think it was a son. It was a son, yeah. So he left. And
Joss Whedon got in.
Yeah, and Whedon reshot a bunch of stuff, recut it, and then released it. But from what has come out is apparently the Snyder version of the film was basically complete. It was just too dark for what they were going for. And so Whedon had to reshoot stuff to make it lighter. So stuff like Darkseid actually appeared in the movie. Deathstroke. Yes. Slade. The other Slade.
The other Slade? What do you mean the other Slade?
Deadpool's clone, or Deadpool's copy of him. Deadpool's a copy
Wade.
Okay.
Wade.
You better... Yeah, Wade.
I know.
Wade Wilson.
Wade and Slade. Wade Wilson and Slade Wilson.
Very obvious copy.
Yes.
But he misspoke at first. He corrected himself, so that's good. Slade was
he's
first.
in there a lot more. Yes, Slade was first. Wade's the copy.
I've never seen the Justice League, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. At the very, very end of the version that did get released, so Slade gets onto the boat to talk to Lex Luthor. And he's shown for maybe 30 seconds. And he's played by Manganiello? Is his last name?
Yeah, Joe Manganiello.
Yeah.
He's beautiful.
And he's released like 7 pictures this week with the tag "Release the Snyder Cut."
Why is Justice League even relevant right now?
Because they're getting killed by Disney and Marvel, so they're trying to stay relevant. So,
and I mean, why though? Like, just give up. You suck. Like, just stop. Like, Shazam was amazing. Let's just go from there.
And the Joker was amazing. Like, they can.
Well, that's not continuity.
They could make it continuity. They could do a whole new continuity.
No, they do not. Do not do that. No. In fact, I heard there was rumors about because Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie was so good, they might try to do a continue. I hope they don't touch it. It is a perfect movie as it is. It doesn't need a sequel. Doesn't need Joaquin to do any more of that stuff. Like, he's good. He did it. He did really great, and that's all that needs to be done. Like, that movie is good just as is. Doesn't need to be touched. Doesn't need to be put in a continuity. But Shazam deserves a sequel because I want to see some more of that Shazam-ly. You know what I'm saying?
And it is coming.
Yeah.
Officially announced.
So will I be. I mean, yeah, I'll be excited.
But yes, The Rock put out the artwork, the concept of him as Black Adam.
Stop seeing him as an object of wrestling. The man has a name.
He will always be The Rock because he's probably as hard as one.
Wrestling is dumb, but Dwayne Johnson is amazing.
I would never try to say wrestling is a good thing.
Wrestling is stupid, but Dwayne Johnson is an amazing actor. So,
and an amazing human being. He does so much charity work. It's actually incredible.
I have listened to You're Welcome. I don't know how many times. I should just watch it again, but instead I just listen to You're Welcome a lot. Mm-hmm. They have a different version sang by somebody else. I don't like it. I like it when Dwayne sings to me.
Yeah, it's got to be
Sing
Dwayne.
to me, Dwayne. Yeah. I want to see the new Jumanji movie. I don't know if it's any good.
It should be. I don't think it's out yet. I think it comes out this week. I think it comes out on Thanksgiving.
There's quite a bit of movies I want to see that I haven't or have left theaters now that I won't be able to see. But I do know that since my parents are coming in for Christmas, we're going to have them babysit their grandson while we go see Star Wars. While we're going to go see Star Wars. That's what we're doing.
Fair.
Yeah. Don't care about eating out or none of that crap. We just want to see Star Wars. So,
which is a perfect segue to the topic of Kathleen Kennedy, who is the current head of Lucas. Did an interview this week where she hinted that she could be leaving the Lucas brand and leaving it in the hands as, I believe in the interview, she said she's building something good and wants to leave it in capable hands or something. And the rumor with that is with how much acclaim The Mandalorian is getting, and from the stories that have come out about how much he was influenced in when he did, or how much influence he had with the original Iron Man and the start of the MCU, is that Jon Favreau could take over for Lucas and be the head creative guy for all of Star Wars. I'm a little excited.
Which would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly brave of him to do.
Which I hope he
make
does.
a lot more money.
Yeah.
Well,
he's going to be put under a
let
microscope.
me explain. Let me explain why I think it's brave of him to do it. With how much negative feedback they've gotten over the past 5 years that they've been doing the new Star Wars trilogy, any director you put in there is going to face some sort of negativity from the fans, which it'll always be that way because Star Wars is such a huge universe and the fandom is incredible, but it can also get really negative really fast. And I think it's brave of him to try to get through that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he took a huge risk just being creative director of The Mandalorian. So.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I thought he wrote The Mandalorian.
He did, and he's the creative lead for everything.
Yeah. So I am having a hard time holding in just blatant excitement. I love Jon Favreau. I haven't made that a secret. He's probably right behind Guy Ritchie or maybe passing Guy Ritchie for my favorite film director. I think that Favreau has the heart and I think he has the dedication. I don't know if I want him in the position. So let me explain why. Yeah. So I would be scared that if Star Wars is all if he ends up being the head of Star Wars, how much other stuff I don't get to see potentially by him, I guess.
Oh, fair. Yep.
But that being said, I do agree with you, Sid. It is a brave position to take. I think that your reasoning is pretty good because it's a pretty venomous internet world out there with a lot of people who think they have power behind the keyboard to say whatever they want.
And fans are just mean.
Yeah, yes. Right. And some of them don't have any right to be. They don't have what it takes to do what these people do. They think they do, and they think it's really easy to say that they can, but they don't, and they can't. So I do think it's brave. I think if he takes it and he runs with it, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's not easy. Star Wars fans are pretty cruel, like you said, and they're pretty judgmental. But The Mandalorian is very well received. For good reason. I mean, I honestly, if you look at Rebels, if you look at Clone Wars, and now you're looking at The Mandalorian, I honestly think that Star Wars is better told through a series, vice a movie, unless you're doing movies like Solo or Rogue One. Now, I get that putting those two in comparison is hard for some people because they want to thrash on me about how much better Rogue One is than Solo, and I don't disagree. Rogue One's a fantastic movie. I think overall it's probably my second favorite movie. It's my third favorite like Star Wars thing, right behind Clone Wars if I'm including TV shows, with Empire being at the top. However, I think that one-off movies are the answer to are the answer for Star Wars. I think that trilogies or continuations aren't a good idea anymore in Star Wars. I think that with the Skywalker saga ending, I think it's a better opportunity to tell long stories through series and short stories through movies. And so your classic Rogue One is so easy because the characters come and then they die. Like it's in and out.
Spoilers.
Right? Yeah. Well, if you haven't watched Rogue One now, I haven't seen Justice League and it just got spoiled for me from Steve because he's a jerk. So I'm spreading the love.
Were you going to watch Justice League?
Absolutely not. That's not the point.
Exactly.
Are you going to watch Rogue One?
I've watched it 1,000 times.
Oh, both of you seen it, so I'm not ruining anything for my co-host. Everybody else can just.
I mean, if they're still listening to us at this point, we did talk about it already on a previous episode.
we went through Rogue One pretty hard, if I remember, in our Star Wars trilogy. So, in our Star Wars trilogy. So, I feel like And Solo, and the reason why I brought Solo up is I think Solo was an excellent movie. I think that it unfortunately got berated because of its timeline. It went, and as I've said before, Solo went against movies like Infinity War, Deadpool, or was it Deadpool 2? Might have been
It was Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2 and Incredibles 2. Two of those movies, which have been the culmination of waiting for a long time, and the other one, Deadpool 2, being a very, very much sought after sequel. And Star Wars is my Christmas present every year. How dare you take that away from me by putting Solo not at Christmas? I think Solo would have done really well had it released in December, and I think that because
it was a May release, wasn't it?
It was, right in the
because we went and saw it at the drive-in.
Yeah, so. But Solo, given a lot of people don't like it, but here's the thing, every time somebody says something negative about Solo, I'm like, but it was a fun movie. And they're like, you know what? I do agree with that. And that's the thing. It's not a great movie. It's a fun movie though. And I think it's okay for Star Wars to be fun every now and then. I think it's okay for that innocence, that good time. So I think, that's what I think should happen. No more Star Wars saga stuff like they did with the Skywalkers. I think that should be done. And I think they should just tell little stories.
Where I was going to ask you is, do you think that those other movies are like, because we both really liked them, and I'm pretty sure Sid did too.
Mm-hmm.
And the other stuff, and like why The Mandalorian is doing so well is like, do you think it's partially because they're giving different perspectives and investigating other parts of this vast universe that we've only seen glimpses of while they've been doing the Skywalker saga? And so like the one-offs like Rogue One it was all new characters. So it was fun to learn and explore other stuff. Solo was fun because for the most part it was all new characters too. Like Han and Chewie were the only, and I guess Lando, but they were different versions of them too, because they weren't the versions you saw in the movies. So
Solo's different because now you get people talking about, you're talking about two of probably the most favored characters in Star Wars, arguably. Not my favorite, but, well, except what Chewbacca is, but Chewbacca and Han Solo. No, Lando is a favorite, but I also don't think anybody had any problem with Lando in the movie, right? Like that's why it's hard to include him in this because Lando was well received. It's mainly Han, and that's the problem is you take somebody like Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford is a good actor. But the kid that played Solo did a good job. People were ready to judge that movie before it had a chance. Whereas, like you said, Rogue One told a different story. And what's interesting is it told a story that still fit within the Skywalker saga timeline. It even interwarped with it, and we even saw Vader and Tarkin, but all the other characters, like you said, I mean, they go away, and you don't expect to see them later. Right? They're gone.
Yep.
And so there's all these cool things. It's not playing directly on characters, it's making mentions of things or events that happen. It's a little safer. Rogue One was a safer movie to make than Solo. But it was also, it was really well done as well. I'm not taking away from that, but it was safer. You're talking about a build up to something where Solo directly discusses a character. Again, let's see how the Obi-Wan that's going to be the testament right there. Yeah. The Obi-Wan show is the one that's going to tell us more about how this fan base is going to react. The Mandalorian is a character that is not known to anybody, revolving around the time. Revolving around the time. The Mandalorians really haven't been touched on that much, right? Unless you watch the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars touch on the Mandalorians a lot. Rebels goes into a deep part of the Mandalorians, which is really cool, by the way. There's a really neat episode, probably my favorite episode in Rebels. But either way, the Mandalorians have a history. This is just telling another part of that, and I think something that was smart on Favreau and his team with Filoni and those people that are working on it. I think that to take the Empire broken, to take that time period after episode 6 in an area that honestly we don't have to worry about in the Outer Rim, right? With little cool hints. Like a lot of people don't like the fact that he used the Christmas special rifle. I think that's awesome, and I think it was a neat little tribute to that. And I know that some
there's
people
been a couple
like
actual tributes to that. I posted in our Discord one of the like Easter egg videos that people have found, and there's been a couple little shout outs to like the Christmas special and some other small like one-off things, like books that aren't considered canon, but they were fan favorite things, and Favreau and his team are bringing in just little hints here and there.
It's important to do that.
Smart.
I know there's a lot of fans who are very, very angry that they refuse to watch Star Wars stuff because Legends happened. Because when Disney took Star Wars and took all of Legends, all of what used to be known as the EU, the Extended Universe, and crushed it so that they could do their own stuff, which was smart on Disney. If anybody's angry about that, they need to get over it. I mean, I suggest they get over it. It's okay to move on from that and reset. DC and Marvel do it all the time. So they can do. It's okay for Disney to want to do their own thing. It's hard. You don't want to be limited and paying all this crap out to all these people who wrote these stories and bring these characters in later. And they have, and they've paid tribute to that. And that's one thing, like you're talking about, that he did. And so the Obi-Wan show might not even be a great testimony to it, but at the very least, it's playing with a character that we know and love. Yeah. But it's being acted by Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan. You know what I mean? So it's not even the guy who played Solo. I mean, he's completely new, right? Like he had to be a character we've never seen before. The only time we've seen young Solo, I think, has been in books. And so it was tough. It was a tough thing to deal with. And I think that putting Darth Maul in it was a risky move, because if you hadn't watched Clone Wars, which for most people don't like cartoons, and they would assume Clone Wars was a kid's show, even if you're a Star Wars fan, it's weird to show a character that you saw die, get cut in half, and know nothing else about in episode 1 and not get an explanation as to why this guy all of a sudden showed, like, what the hell, right? And maybe it was to spark interest in the cartoon or to get answers, but either way, I can see it. We'll see what happens. When Obi-Wan happens, we'll see what happens. I'm worried. I really, really like Favreau, and if he takes over, I'm excited for him. I think that he'll give it the right energy, and I think what's important about Favreau is that he is very, very willing to work with others, like Filoni, right? He's going to be like, Filoni's going to have a big influence. Everybody else involved, I mean, he's working with Taika Waititi. That's exciting, right? You're working with exciting people throughout Disney, right? And what's great is Favreau has connections with a lot of cool people that could do some sweet voice acting for shows or hidden acting. Like, who knows how many cameos we've gotten in there that we don't even know about, right? Because like Kevin Smith got to be in Star Wars. He got to be
Simon Pegg.
Right? Like, people just get to play. You put them behind a helmet and you never know they were there, but they got to be in Star Wars. Like, there's really cool stuff.
Daniel Craig is the stormtrooper that gets force controlled by Rey when she's escaping.
That's awesome. It's cool stuff like that.
And I'll drop my weapon.
It's It's like, what? Yeah, like, people line up just to do cameos for this thing. Like, it's insane how
without their face being seen. They just want to be in Star Wars.
Yeah, because
I had no idea that was Daniel Craig until you said that.
I didn't either until
now
he said it in an interview. He was like, "Yeah, that was me." Simon Pegg played stormtroopers in the first, I think in one of the episodes 1, 2, or 3. He played random stormtroopers in it, and then he got to be a speaking role in episode 7. He's the junk trader that Rey trades with in the beginning to get her food.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's Simon Pegg.
Oh, that's awesome. But And so, not to be so negative, we talk about how dangerous the fans, or not dangerous, but how, kind of evil the fans are. That's the other side of Star Wars, the love of Star Wars, the love of the fandom. There's that other side. There's the light and the dark side to the fans of Star Wars. It's interesting. I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying not to be negative about it, but I just really like Favreau. I mean, he's done so many good things, and as much as I want to see him at the head of Star Wars, I think that would be cool. I'll miss if he puts all his effort into it, which I would assume he probably would. I'll miss seeing other things that he does, if I'm being honest. But I mean, for his career and moving forward, as dangerous as it is, maybe this is also a dream. Maybe he's very, very excited about this and what he gets to do with it. And I don't know.
Because I mean, there's been stories with how close he worked with Kevin Feige in building the MCU. So I'm sure he's learned a lot from Kevin Feige, who
and look where Feige is now, right?
Yeah, arguably the biggest brain when it comes to a connected universe.
Right. So I don't know. We'll see. But that's my take on TV shows and movies for Star Wars. I think movies should be short stories. I think that series should continue to tell long stories. I think that what we're getting, The Mandalorian, is a really cool spaghetti Western Star Wars feel. Wild West. It's just really cool. Yeah. It's been a hell of a ride and a lot of fun.
So how about we just move right into our weekly bounty?
Weekly bounty.
Oh man.
Oh, good.
I feel really bad. We just started this thing and then we're like, we're going to take a break.
Yeah, so we'll do so by the time we get back in January, we'll do a recap because the first season will be done. And we'll better kind of figure that out. But don't forget that we are also going to be coming back with our first segment on Clone Wars. So we're going to, based on how far Sid, Steve, and I get during, we're going to try to line it up. Basically, our last monthly segment on Clone Wars will then turn into what I would assume be a weekly segment for season 7, right?
Yeah, that's how I was envisioning it happening.
Yeah, so we'll work it out. We'll have and this is what's nice, everybody, all the fans, all the listeners, we really appreciate it. Before we get into weekly bounty that I just epically announced, I do want to say that's one nice thing about a break for content creators is it gives us a time. It is the holidays universally for us, because like Thanksgiving and stuff isn't the same for Canada as in America. So we want to work through November, but December gets a little crazy, and it gives us time to really reshape kind of what we're going to be doing. So season 2, hopefully we bring some new stuff and we'll have a better schedule and some things that Sid, Steve, and I can work out. So yeah, with that, man, how did you guys feel about this episode?
I loved it.
I was going to say, you saw my post like the minute I finished watching it at like 6 o'clock in the morning when I woke up on Friday. I was like, oh my God. I woke up super early. I don't know why I couldn't sleep. And the first thing I did was I grabbed my phone and I started watching. I watched the entire first time I watched it with closed captioning on a phone instead of watching it on a TV with sound. And I still was dying. I have watched it 4 more times.
Yeah, you woke me up Friday morning. Thank you.
Apologies.
I needed to get up anyways, but man.
Yeah. Errane?
I'm here. I was going to let you guys flesh that out. Sid, what'd you think?
I have no words. I loved it so much.
What were your high moments? Like what really spoke to you?
I mean, I called it from the beginning. As soon as he got to the planet and was walking him in and everything, and then he asked, "What are you gonna do with it?" Okay, we know what you're gonna do now because you're trained not to ask that question, and then you ask it. Yeah, you'll see him later.
He's making a comeback.
And then he goes to hit the throttle on his ship, and the ball's missing on it, and my heart broke. My heart broke for half a second. Oh my God!
Because you can
that was an emotional moment.
So
he misses him.
Oh God! Before we go too crazy into this, so one of the biggest issues people had, I read a review today. One of the biggest issues people have had with The Mandalorian before they started watching it was, how is this person going to show any emotion? And I dare you guys to watch the first 3 episodes and tell me that he is not emoting. he is so emotionally invested. It's getting me emotionally invested, and it is probably the best acting I've seen in a long time.
And you don't
Pedro
even see
Pascal
his face.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
What he does with a helmet that doesn't change is amazing, and that scene, Sid, really sells it. So that's what I want to get into with this episode, because I think it is the biggest part of what's special about what's happening here. So as I'm watching it, because a lot of people, Boba Fett is the entity that is like, if all you've ever watched is the movies, then your love of Boba Fett, comes from his adventures that have been written in comics and things. There's not a lot about Mandalore unless you watch Clone Wars Rebels stuff. So, and whether Boba Fett is even really a Mandalorian or not is another thing for debate, because Jango is called a pretender. So whether that was shameful, like he's been exiled, or he truly wasn't a Mandalore and he's wearing Mandalorian armor. There's been other things I've seen where they claim Boba Fett's not a Mandalore, he just wears Mandalorian armor. I don't think Disney's actually come out and said it, unless them acknowledging him being a pretender is truly what they're saying. And that's all up for debate. But I do know that he wasn't raised in Mandalore regardless. Boba Fett lost his dad when he was young, and he was raised with bounty hunters. So he's been raised in that. So whether he's a Mandalorian or not is really irrelevant. And he has that armor, which is, I think, just repainted of his dad's armor, because his dad, it'd be hard to come by a Mandalorian, a set of Mandalorian armor. So I assume it's his father's, repainted or redone. But what was important for me, and you guys know I'm a villain person. I like villains. I like bad things. So I honestly was shocked that he even took Baby Yoda to the client. That surprised me, and the fact that he let him go surprised me. But it was also cool to see the transition, and this goes back to what you're saying about him switching. So I think what's neat about this is that Boba Fett was very strict in the code that he held, and it was, you either pay or you die, and the mark did not matter. Boba Fett was cold. It was, you work for the money, you do the bounty. If the person who asked you to do the bounty doesn't pay, they die. Like that's it. That's just how it goes. So what's been really cool is to see another perspective of that, to see Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian character really just shines through as a true hero, and we see it with that. And I thought that was really neat.
Yeah. No, completely agreed. What did you think about? So I was shocked at how much Beskar steel he was actually getting, honestly, because it was like, here's 2 or like 1 for the like down payment, and then all of a sudden he shows up and he gets like 20 pieces. That shocked me.
His armor, though, they needed. I mean, I'm assuming they were like, "Hey, we only have a few episodes to really tell this story. We need to get him in the rest of his armor, so let's just make this payment big and call it good."
He looked incredible with that whole new armor. That scene with the other Mandalorians, Heavy Gunner Mandalorian is now my favorite, and I will be cosplaying that.
Oh 100%. My God.
I will cosplay him. I will,
build it.
I will build it. I will make that work. It is. So first, the whole challenging him to like the rule of Mandalore, like to make. So you saying, like, you bringing up Boba Fett, I think is a perfect example. I think Pascal's version of the Mandalore is the same thing. I don't think he's a blood-born Mandalorian.
Yeah, I keep saying Mandalore's a planet, but yeah, Mandalorian. Yeah. I keep messing that up too. So,
I don't think he's bloodborne. I think he's like he's a foundling, and like he keeps saying, like, give it to the foundlings. I think he was an orphan that is going to be. Here's me predicting again, because of the flashbacks. I believe Obi-Wan is going to kill that battle droid and save him and give him to the other Mandalorians, who then raise him, and he becomes this Mandalore, because like they've said twice now, he still doesn't have a signet.
Which I loved when she was like, "We'll make this your signet," to represent the Rhino beast, and he was like, "It wasn't an honorable kill." I love how honest he is. He's very, very honorable. He's a good person, and he sells it so well. But he's very collected. He's very calm. He knows what he's doing, and I think this whole thing's kind of spinning his life out of control a little bit. But he knows it's the right thing, and I like that a lot. If I was to gender bender cosplay, it would be as the
head of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, sure. Her helmet is too awesome. I want to just take it off and be like,
I love it.
Yeah, I am Maximus. Like, hear me roar. I'm gonna do so. Are you not entertained? Like every time I see it, that thing is so amazing.
So, question. This is going into the trivia of the show. Did you know that Jon Favreau is a voice in this episode?
No.
He plays one of the Mandalores. Do you remember who he played in Clone Wars?
Nope.
Oh, God, I thought you knew. Damn it. Now you're going to make me look it up.
I thought you had it pulled up.
No, I was hoping Aaron would know because it would trigger my brain. But anyways, so he plays a character in Clone Wars. Something, I think. Jon Favreau.
Clone Wars or the new stuff?
I'm pretty sure it was Clone Wars.
Wait, are you talking about the cartoon?
Yes.
Oh. I don't know voice actors in the cartoon. Like, I've never looked up who special people were that played characters in Clone Wars at all. But I assume if it was in Clone Wars, if you're talking about him being a Mandalorian, it might have been during the stories of Mandalorians, which is interesting. Why are you claiming that it would be Obi-Wan that would save Pedro Pascal's character?
Just because I have a feeling that that's going to be the tie-in to the Obi-Wan TV show. It's going to be
you don't know anything
into, like,
about
the Purge.
Obi-Wan's. You don't know anything about Obi-Wan's actual history.
No, I don't.
Jon Favreau provided the voice of the Mandalorian Pre Vizsla in Star Wars Clone Wars, and of the Adrenian.
He was Pre-Vizsla.
And of the Ardenian pilot Rio Durant in Solo.
Yes,
I knew he was Rio Durant.
So, Pre-Vizsla. Yep.
So in the latest episode of The Mandalorian, he plays another Mandalorian whose last name is Vizsla as well.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh.
It's like Paz Vizsla or something. I'm trying to find it.
Whoa.
Yep.
So I have two statues. I have a statue of Shae Vizsla, who is from the Old Republic. And and then Pre Vizsla, who Pre Vizsla is a descendant of Shae Vizsla. Oh my gosh. That's important. See, I could geek out right now, but it's going to give stuff away.
They're spelled differently.
It is a slightly different spelling, but I mean, like they took out the S, I believe it's Vizla instead of Vizsla.
Is that the one that's had the machine
heavy
gun?
Gunner. Yes,
yeah,
he's the one I want to play. That dude was Jon Favreau. His name is Paz Vizsla.
That was going to be my guess.
So you randomly guessed Obi-Wan would save him, and you don't know why Favreau playing a Vizsla is important.
No, have no clue.
And
I'm still working on season 1 of Clone Wars.
I could ruin so many episodes for you right now. So many could be ruined.
Oh, please don't.
I'm not going to. It's just, I want you to know that it bums me out, but we'll get to geek out on it later. What? This is suspenseful, because when we start talking about Clone Wars in our series, when we come back, we'll be able to talk about that. And when we do our recap of all of The Mandalorian in our opening episode, because I figure we're going to start with that. We'll do our weekly bounty will be our last weekly bounty, because it's going to be wrapping up the entire episode or the entire season. But I have a lot to talk about with that. We'll get there, because then you guys will have a lot to talk about, and we can get to that point. Pre Vizsla is important. Obi-Wan is important. It's all so important. There's so much. God, you guys are gonna learn so many things. That's really cool. I loved the Mandalorians. I loved them in that scene when they were about to go toe to toe. I loved the scene that they had. I did not. I'll ask you guys: is there anything you did not like?
In the entire episode?
Mm-hmm. Nothing glared out to either of you?
Not
okay
off the top of my head.
It's all right to like everything. You guys are.
Well,
that's awesome.
I had issue with the fact he didn't go back out the hole he blew in the wall.
What?
To get into the compound, he blew that massive hole in the back wall. He rescues Baby Yoda and then tries to go through the front door. But he had that big massive hole that was a shorter distance. Probably would have been safer instead of fighting everybody in the lunchroom of the building where he first met the client. But I mean, you did get to see his new cool ass weapon. But
which was amazing.
That was awesome.
Whatever. Yeah, those things were cool.
Rob looked at me when she was building it and was like, I don't understand what that's going to be. I was like, I'm sure we'll see it later. And then we did. And he was like, that was freaking sweet.
Yeah, it was really, really neat to see it. I very much enjoyed it because it was cool to see I liked seeing his flamethrower run out. That was really neat. I like seeing when ammunition runs out of anything. And it was really cool to see the flamethrower kind of go dead on him. The entire
did he run
scene,
out of ammo on his rifle with fighting the Jawas too?
He might have. Oh yeah, I believe he did. And
then it got soaked in mud and it wouldn't fire when he was with the rhino.
It was so good. It's been really, the fight scenes have been very, very well done. I've enjoyed them a lot, but that specifically that scene right before the Mandalorians come down to assist him, just that whole lead up to that was just really good. The big fight scene
with all the bounty hunters around him.
Yeah, when that happened, when they all came, when all the bounty hunters were around, I just loved it. I loved it.
What did you not like?
Okay, so what I didn't like, because I'm ready for it. I thought that the end part when he's flying his ship out and the other Mandalorian came up and then saluted him was one of the dumbest things they did.
It really didn't have to be there.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that.
It took me back to the whole reason I hated the whole A-Team get-together thing that happened in Infinity War Endgame, or in Avengers Endgame. It was like, why did he leave the heat of battle to just go salute the guy? Like, what the hell is that? They already had a really sweet goodbye. Like, they had an awesome goodbye.
Just take the baby. Take the package. We've got you covered. Like, just go. Like, that was perfect. You didn't have to.
And then they said that thing. What was their saying?
This is the way.
This is the way. That was cool as hell. Like, that was awesome. That was like cool guys walk away from explosions type shit. And then he had to what?
Spoiler warning. That is the name of this episode. It's going to be episode 30. This is the way. As soon as they said it in the episode, watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the title.
Well, and that's like I said, it was just, that was such a cool way to leave it. And then for some reason they decided to put him on his jets to go salute him goodbye. Like, why'd you do that? Like, it really turned me off. Like, I was like, oh man, I was really rock solid.
Gotta get one of those.
I gotta get me one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then handing Baby Yoda the ball.
Yes, was adorable.
It
was so cute.
My heart.
So cute.
Legit, Baby Yoda is like, God.
It is. That is the cutest thing on screen. Like, I remember how excited I was for Baby Groot, and I remember how cute the Mogwai was in Gremlins. But Baby Yoda just be slamming. You know what I mean? He's like, he's got it going on.
So good. Yep. So I wanted to ask you, because you know the history more, because I'm sure Sid feels the same way I do. When they flew in to rescue him, I went nuts. My wife went nuts. Like, every episode every time I've watched it, that part still, like, it's like chills. It's amazing. why did they choose to come out? Or why do you think? Like, why is this the moment that they're deciding to come up? Because, like they said when they were down there confronting him, like, only one gets to come above the surface at a time. You make sure you don't take your mask off because then people know, like, think we're all the same, basically.
You want to know why?
Yes, I want to know why they came out at that moment to rescue him.
Without giving anything away from Clone Wars, I think it was a show of
solidarity.
Still here?
Yeah. Oh, I'm here. Yeah, but that's the word. Solidarity.
No, that's, like, okay. No, I was meaning like they're still there.
Oh, I thought you were asking if I was still here.
No.
Yeah, like what Sid said, the best word, solidarity. I think at that moment, it was one of our own has finally, like, you know what I mean? Because it's clear that the Empire is hated, right?
Mhm.
And they know what's going. They're not stupid, right? They're probably always monitoring things happening on the surface, and they're always going to be backing up whoever they're sending out, because the Mandalorians are essentially the Spartans of the Star Wars universe, right? Like, they are it. They were thrashed and destroyed, and their homeworld was beaten down because of the Jedi, and they learned to fight that. They built armor to counter the lightsaber. Like, that you got to see vibroblades in the fight. How cool was that?
Yes.
Like, that was really, really neat. You get to see why they have all their weapons, why they have all their tricks, the reason why Mandalorians are the way they are, but they're also not loners. Like, that's what makes Boba Fett an audit. Like, he is, like I said, he's probably not a Mandalorian anyway, but even if he was raised differently. But these people are taken under the wing together. They have community. Like, the Mandalorians stick together. In this case, this one Mandalorian stood for something, and not only that, it was against the Empire. It was against, like, the only reason they don't have to be mercenaries for hire under this guild. They're just playing this role under the guild to make some form of currency for, as you noticed, every time he got the Beskar, he took it down, and it was always a tribute to the cause, right? To the people. Yeah. And he would have a little bit of something made for himself to show his hard work, but the rest would go to the foundlings and to help support them. Only one goes up. That means, they want to be scarce. To know that there's a bunch of Spartans underneath your city hiding out, that's not something you're going to be comfortable with if you're a shattered empire who's trying to put your pieces back together with different people taking power, right? And that's not something you want with a guild full of mercenaries who know that if the Mandalorians are all down there, they're going to take away all their business. You got to see a little bit of that when it was seen how he succeeded in getting the target despite all of those people being sent to go find Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Right? So you see how mad they are with just one Mandalorian. It's a threat if you have an entire army. They saw an opportunity that he rose up against the Empire. He was currently in a back down situation after rebelling against the Empire, against the guild. And they saw a moment of, like Sid said, the best word, solidarity, one to protect their own and show that this is the way. We are there for you. You saw Pedro Pascal and how bad he felt that they would have to move, but this is the way. This is the way we do it. We're not normally nomads, but we're finding our place back in the universe, in the galaxy. Like, we're trying to find where we belong. And, for them, maybe it strategically just wasn't working. They've overstayed their welcome there, in their opinion. Like, it's time to move on. Like, it's time to go somewhere else.
How do you think they're going to feel when they find out it's a Jedi he's helping?
I don't know if the package is what concerns them. Even if they found out it's a Jedi, I'm not sure if that hate still exists against the Jedi, because the Jedi have also been all but exterminated. So I'm not sure where that hate lies. And as you said, with the way Pascal has probably been raised as an orphan, a foundling, whatever that means, whatever he was or is now, I have a feeling that if anything, they would look at this as potentially an opportunity. But yeah, you could be right that he could be met with hate. And maybe we'll see that he has to deal with that struggle as the Baby Yoda gets older, if he's truly taking him under his wing or if he's going to hand him off to Luke. or somebody, some order. If he doesn't do that and he ends up trying to kind of raise the kid, then he might end up in a confrontation with his own people. We'll see that when we get there. I don't know though. I mean, yeah, I don't even know how to.
Can't wait to find out.
Go.
I know.
I'm just glad you guys are excited about it as I am.
Oh yeah,
it's very cool. Very, very.
As weird as it is, I almost feel like I'm going to watch it again tonight, but I'm not going to. I'm going to watch more Clone Wars because I need to watch more.
I'm going to finish my homework.
That's smart. Well, with that, then.
First, I'm going to edit the episode, and then I'll.
That's how you do a recap, by the way, Steve. You notice how we didn't go scene for scene and try to retell everybody a story.
I know. I was too excited about the last time.
I wanted to remind you. It's okay.
This time
I love you, Steve. You're so good. Tell them how to reach us.
Oh, on Twitter, I am at CanYouGeek. Errane is at Southam Designs. Sid is at Sid Stare. We're on Facebook at the CanYouGeek Podcast. Other than that, we'll have more info in the new year.
Yeah,
so have a great holidays.
More organized and stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to have time to do stuff, so it'll be nice.
Yeah, so have a happy holidays, nerds.
Yes, happy holidays. Nerds. Later, nerds.
Later, nerds.
Later, nerds.
Today's music is used by permission from the artist Broke for Free. The song is called Something Elated. You can find it on freemusicarchive.org